Alright, so Ghost of Yotei is literally about to drop in a couple days, October 2nd. And if you're anything like me, you've probably already cleared your calendar and told everyone you're busy for the foreseeable future. But here's the thing. We've all been burned by hype before, right? So before you drop $70 and dive headfirst into feudal Japan again, let's talk about everything you actually need to know about this game. I'm talking gameplay changes. What's different from Tsushima, who this game is really for? And yeah, we'll touch on some concerns too. Because look, I loved Ghost of Tsushima as much as the next person, but that doesn't mean I'm going into this blind. So stick around and let's figure out if Ghost of Yotei deserves a spot in your library or if maybe you should wait for a sale. So first things first, what exactly is Ghost of Yotei? Well, it's the sequel to 2020's Ghost of Tsushima, developed by Sucker Punch Productions and published by Sony. And yeah, that's Sucker Punch, the studio that gave us the infamous series. They've been absolutely killing it lately, and Tsushima was their massive breakout hit that basically proved they could do way more than just superhero sandbox games. Now, here's where it gets interesting. This isn't a direct sequel. We're not playing as Jin Sakai anymore. Instead, we've got a brand new protagonist named Atsu, and the game is set about 300 years after the original, specifically in 1603, around the Ezo region of Japan, which is modern-day Hokkaido. So yeah, completely different time period, different location, but it's still in that same samurai action-adventure wheelhouse that made the first game so special. The game launches October 2nd, 2025, which, if you're watching this on release day, is literally tomorrow or today, depending on when you're seeing this. It's a PlayStation 5 exclusive, at least for now. No PS4 version this time around, which honestly makes sense considering how much they're pushing the visual fidelity and performance. And as for price, we're looking at the standard $70 price point for the base game, with a deluxe edition running around $80 if you want some extra digital goodies. One more thing worth mentioning, Sucker Punch has confirmed that a multiplayer mode called Yotei Legends is coming in 2026 as a free update. So if you loved Legends mode from Tsushima, that's definitely something to look forward to. But the base game at launch is purely single player. Alright, so let's get into the meat of it. What are you actually doing in this game? If you played Ghost of Tsushima, the core loop is going to feel familiar, but Sucker Punch has made some pretty significant changes that could either make or break your experience. At its heart, this is still a third-person action-adventure game with a heavy emphasis on sword combat and stealth. You're exploring this massive open world, taking on missions, fighting enemies, and slowly unraveling the story of Atsu's quest for revenge against the Yotei Six. Basically, the 6 people responsible for destroying her life. Classic samurai revenge tale, and honestly, I'm not mad about it because that structure just works. But here's where things get interesting. Combat has been expanded pretty significantly. You've still got your katana as your primary weapon, but now Atsu can dual-wield katanas, which looks absolutely sick in motion. But the big addition? Guns. Yeah, firearms are now part of your arsenal. We're talking matchlock pistols and muskets, which makes sense given the time period. This isn't just a gimmick either. From what we've seen in previews, gunplay is actually integrated into the combat system in meaningful ways. You can use firearms for ranged takedowns, break enemy defenses, or even combine them with your sword techniques for some really creative combos. The stance system is back, but it's been refined. You're not just picking a stance and spamming attacks. There's more emphasis on reading your enemies, timing your parries, and actually feeling like you're in a legitimate sword fight. The reviews that just dropped are praising the combat for feeling visceral and weighty, which is exactly what you want in a samurai game. Stealth has also gotten some love. You've got more tools at your disposal, more ways to approach enemy camps, and the AI seems smarter this time around. No more enemies conveniently forgetting you exist the second you break line of sight. They'll actively search for you, call for reinforcements, and actually coordinate their attacks. Now here's a change that's either going to excite you or frustrate you. Quest markers, or rather, the lack of them. Ghost of Yotei is doing this card-based interrogation system where you gather information from NPCs, and instead of getting a big glowing marker telling you exactly where to go, you get cards that point you in a general direction. It's giving major Breath of the Wild vibes, and personally, I think this is a smart move. It encourages actual exploration instead of just mindlessly following waypoints. But if you're someone who likes having clear objectives and hates wandering around, this might drive you nuts. Oh, and one more cool feature, the flower streams are back. But now when you follow them, they actually give you and your horse a speed boost. It's a small quality of life thing, but it makes traversal feel way better, especially in a game this big. Let's talk story. Without getting into spoiler territory because the game's literally not even out yet for most of us, here's what we know. You play as Atsu, a warrior who's had her entire world ripped apart. Her homestead was destroyed, her family was killed, and she's out for blood. The people responsible? The Yotei 6. A group of antagonists that Atsu is hunting down one by one. The setting is 1603 Ezo, which is a really cool choice. This is northern Japan, beyond the traditional reach of the samurai code and the central government. It's a lawless, wild frontier, and the game leans into that hard. You've got snowy mountain peaks, dense forests, rural villages, and that constant feeling of isolation and danger. It's gorgeous, but it's also harsh and unforgiving, which fits the revenge narrative perfectly. One unique aspect of the story is how memories play into the gameplay. Atsu's memories of her family are woven into both the narrative and the actual game mechanics. We don't have all the details yet, but it sounds like there are specific memory sequences or flashbacks that'll give you context for why Atsu is doing what she's doing. It's giving The Last of Us vibes in terms of emotional storytelling, which has me pretty hyped. As for campaign length, Sucker Punch hasn't given an exact number, but if it's anything like Ghost of Tsushima, you're probably looking at 25 to 30 hours for the main story, with another 20 to 30 if you want to do all the side content and exploration. Early reviewers are saying it's a meaty experience, so you're definitely getting your money's worth in terms of content. The story is apparently well executed, even if it hits some predictable beats. But honestly, sometimes predictable is okay if the execution is solid. Not every game needs to reinvent the wheel. If they can tell a compelling revenge story with interesting characters and emotional stakes, I'm in. Okay, let's talk about how this game actually looks and runs. Because holy crap, the visuals are stunning. Sucker Punch has always been known for making beautiful games, but Ghost of Yotei is on another level. We're talking photorealistic landscapes, insanely detailed character models, weather effects that actually affect gameplay, and lighting that makes every frame look like it could be a wallpaper. The game is built exclusively for PS5, and it shows. They're taking full advantage of the hardware. You've got two performance modes, a fidelity mode that targets 4K resolution at 30 frames per second, and a performance mode that drops the resolution a bit, but gives you a smooth 60 frames per second. And honestly, after playing the first game, I'd recommend performance mode. The combat is so fast-paced that the extra frames make a massive difference. But if you're more of a screenshot person and care about raw visual fidelity, that 4K mode is absolutely breathtaking. There's also support for all the PS5 bells and whistles, DualSense haptic feedback that makes you feel every sword clash, adaptive triggers that add tension when you're drawing your bow or firing a gun, and 3D audio that lets you pinpoint enemy locations just by sound. It's the kind of immersion that really sells the experience. Performance-wise, early reviews are saying the game runs like butter. We're not hearing about major frame drops, crashes, or game-breaking bugs, which is honestly a relief in 2025. Sucker Punch seems to have learned from other studios' mistakes and actually shipped a polished product. Obviously, there might be some minor issues that pop up in the first few days, but nothing that sounds like a deal breaker. If you're wondering about a PC version, no announcements yet, but given Sony's track record, I'd bet money on a PC port happening eventually, probably a year or two down the line. But for now, this is a PS5 only situation. Alright, quick section here because multiplayer isn't available at launch, but it's worth talking about because it is coming. Yotei Legends is dropping sometime in 2026 as a free update, and if it's anything like Legends mode from Ghost of Tsushima, we're in for a treat. From what's been confirmed, you'll have 2-player story missions and 4-player survival modes where you're fighting gigantic mythological versions of the Yotei 6 and other creatures from Japanese folklore. So think raid-style content but with samurai and demons. That sounds awesome. As for replayability in the base game, you've got the usual open-world stuff, collectibles, side missions, exploration challenges, and presumably a New Game Plus mode, though that hasn't been officially confirmed yet. But given how much Sucker Punch supported the first game post-launch, I'd be shocked if we don't get NG Plus and other quality-of-life features down the line. Okay, real talk time. Is there anything you should be worried about? Let's go through it. First, the card-based quest system. I mentioned this earlier, but it's worth repeating. If you hate exploration and prefer clear, linear objectives, this might frustrate you. Some players are going to love the freedom, but others are going to get lost and annoyed. It's a polarizing design choice, so just be aware. Second, the story. Early reviews are saying it's good, but also somewhat predictable. If you're expecting some massive narrative twist or subversion of the revenge plot, you might be disappointed. This seems like a straightforward hunt down the bad guys story. Nothing wrong with that, but manage your expectations. Third, and this is a big one for some people, there's no multiplayer at launch. If you were hoping to jump in with friends day one, you're out of luck. You'll have to wait until 2026 for Legends mode. That's a long time, and I know some people are going to be bummed about that. Fourth, monetization. As far as we know, there are no microtransactions, no battle pass, no live service nonsense. It's a traditional one-and-done purchase. That's great. But Sony has been experimenting with different models lately, so if they do add anything post-launch, we'll have to see how aggressive it is. For now, though, it looks clean. And finally, the elephant in the room. This is a PlayStation exclusive. If you don't have a PS5, you can't play it. And with how expensive consoles still are, that's a legitimate barrier for a lot of people. Hopefully a PC port comes eventually, but for now, PS5 owners are the only ones getting to experience this. So who should actually buy this game? Let me break it down. If you loved Ghost of Tsushima, this is a no-brainer. It's more of what you loved, with improvements and new mechanics. If you're into samurai films, revenge stories, or just really polished open-world action games, this is absolutely for you. This is also for anyone who appreciates beautiful, immersive worlds. If you're the type of person who loves just existing in a game's world, taking screenshots, and soaking in the atmosphere, Ghost of Yotei is going to hit that itch perfectly. On the flip side, if you bounced off the first game because you found it repetitive or too focused on combat, this probably won't change your mind. The core loop is similar, even with the new features. And if you're waiting for multiplayer, just hold off until Legends drops in 2026. No point buying it now if that's your main interest. Comparable games? Think Assassin's Creed meets Sekiro, with a dash of Red Dead Redemption 2's exploration philosophy. If any of those games clicked for you, there's a good chance this will too. Alright, bottom line, should you buy Ghost of Yotei? If you're a fan of the first game, a samurai enthusiast, or just looking for a meaty, polished, single-player experience, yeah, absolutely. This looks like one of the best exclusives PlayStation has put out in a while, and everything we've seen so far suggests Sucker Punch has delivered something special. That said, if you're on the fence, waiting for reviews is never a bad idea. And actually, since this video is going up right before launch, those reviews are already out, so definitely check those out if you want more perspectives. But me personally, I'm excited. The combat looks incredible, the world looks stunning, and I'm a sucker for a good revenge story. I think this is going to be one of those games we're still talking about at the end of the year. So what do you think? Are you picking this up day one, or are you waiting? Let me know in the comments. Until next time.